All right, this next one is called nudes, like the kind you send when you're feeling a little hot. So that's what this one's about. Call them low art. I send bangers only. My nudes are a Rothko, Yellowbone #2. I am pictured in pleasure, a joy almost aggressive. I am the halo around everything, and still things go unnoticed. My nudes are dripping maple, portraits of stiff flower crowns. I capture a cool garden image and freckles in Coltrane rhythm, and it tears the boys apart. I flash unbeat thunder of mountains, unmounted, torso, bare and off the evening news, my family jewels, not cropped into an obituary, no candle vigil holding poses in my bathroom mirror, all of earth in a dream. Red light magician, photographing a cocky, thick, watermelon queer, tasteful butter queen, endowed blue demoness. I am the Laura Palmer of my friend group. Serving rich ebony courses between the sexes, Sissy drops his towel, soft boy, well lit, softy looks like hanging black man, fairy on a blanket. My little flavor, my fat memory. I appear opened and shared, unasked for, and free. My nudes are documents, proof of miracle. The branded stallion has set the barn on fire. Black spectacle, shot on film and still living. Cool.
I would like to just make space for members of our community who lost their lives in the Pulse massacre. And this is also from Incandescent. Trigger warning, because of all the triggers and the guns. The pulse of a rainbow for the victims of the Pulse massacre, Orlando. You might not think such a thing exists, the pulse of a rainbow. A heartbeat made of only light and color, dance, expanding, arches bending across skies, a vibration that resonates through time and space and history and place, but it does exist, always has existed, always will exist and persist, even through this, the pulse of a rainbow. It is a quiet pulse, a rhythm that imbues culture, fierce and ravishing, soft butch, high femme, blurred gender lines, bears and queers, trans and boy and bi, every shade of a spectrum that can't be named by naked eyes. If only this country could hear the music that we make with our lives, muted for so long with the pages of an ancient book, quoted from fundamentalist cherry-picking lips, muffled for so long against the bigoted legislations of men, silenced for so long amidst the fists and rapid-fire bullets of hate, but it is still here. The pulse, the pulse, the pulse. The pulse of a rainbow, always a drum, always a pulse you can recognize when you see another rainbow on the street dancing, and suddenly you dance a little more inside. You shine a little brighter when you look into the eyes of a stranger and know the struggle shares your names. When you know that this family is thicker than blood, and when that innocent blood is spilled, you feel it in your heartbeat, skipping with the loss, the grief, the emptiness, the stopped quick pulse of a rainbow. 49 lives. One self-loathing, homophobic psychopath opened fire and took 49 lives. And all the colors of the rainbow turned to red that night. No yellow, no orange, no green, no blue, no violet, only red. Red for miles, red flooding the nightclub, red pumping through the music, red spilling into the 2 a.m. Orlando streets, red becoming the air, the walls, the building, red mingling with other reds until just heaps of fallen rainbows lay there in the wake of one man's slaughter wet dream. A dance floor becomes a sea of bodies and blood ankle deep, a tomb which minutes ago was a sanctuary. And where does a rainbow go when it dies? The pulse, the pulse, the pulse. I read the news as it comes in. The body count growing from 20 to 50 to 49 because we will not count him with the innocent, with the bright-faced, beautiful souls extinguished too soon. And I read of the silence in the dead room turning into a cacophony of cell phones, singing a song of harmonized panic from the pockets of the slain. And please don't let my love's name come up among the list of the dead. Pick up the phone. Baby, pick up the phone. Please pick up the phone. Please, just text me back. Did you get out? Are you okay? Pick up the phone. Last words. Mommy, I love you. I'm going to die. The sounds of 49 cell phones play a chorus of grief. Their interwoven songs become the music this new flock of angels can dance to as they leave their earthly bodies, rise as souls still dancing, always laughing, singing, doing what rainbows do, shine with color. The pulse. I feel it stronger in me this morning, my heart sick with grief for these strangers that I know so well. Through the tears, somehow my colors are renewed, infused with the brilliant light of them. Their beautiful brown queer skin, making my skin more brown and queer in their names. The pulse. A drum cry of grief turned power chanting into the face of a country that does not see us until we die in mass. A country that hashtags prayers but votes for fucking bigots. A country that holds tighter to its guns than it does to its gay children. The pulse, the pulse. The pulse, and I can't stop looking at their beautiful young faces, can't stop reading the details about their lives, the 49 holes left in families, 49 love stories with rewritten, twisted endings, a future wedding, now a joint funeral, the mothers, their families and friends, yes, but I return to the wailing howl of their mothers. I think of my mother, how she would bawl a new ocean. It is raining outside. It is raining so hard the atmosphere is breaking. Candlelight vigils materialize across the country. The president orders flags to be flown at half-mast. The rainbow flag has always flown at half-mast. Bridges and buildings light up with rainbows. Spires of the tallest skyscrapers pierce the night. The Eiffel Tower blasts colors into the sky, unity through tragedy, pride getting prouder, cries for gun control finally getting louder. And maybe this is the tipping point we have all been waiting for, as Democrats chant, "Where's the bill?" after a moment of silence on the legislative floor. How many more mass graves must we dig with the blunt end of an AR-15? How many more mass graves must we dig with the blunt end of an AR-15? The pulse, the pulse, the pulse. I sit here, safe in my home, colors burning to write a poem. I read their 49 names like a mantra, say them into the air to make them more real. Shape their beautiful syllables with my mouth to make their loss more palpable. Repeat them for the infinite times they will not be said aloud in the years to come. Their names become a prayer, a poem, a dance to every love song ever written. I become the pulse. We become the pulse of a rainbow.
Our Father thought me a traitor to a gender I have never been, sentenced me to crucifixion. And in this moment, I am closer to him than in all the years I spent at church. I cross my legs at the ankle and wonder if the blood will stain my heels. When they tell of my story, let them say I wore red bottoms like house shoes. Let them say I was a dangerous femme or a bad bitch. Religion has never been about telling the truth after all, just whatever version makes for the best story, teaches the most valuable lessons, scares children into obedience. And in another version of this story, I dared to defy gender. So gender nailed me to a cross. And in this story, I did not bleed or cry or fear. Instead of blood, my wounds leaked glitter. Instead of tears, my eyes dew dropped a rainbow. And instead of fear, I laughed and laughed and laughed until I could no longer breathe. And they named my resurrection Euphoria. Did you never wonder who the gay kids pray to in church? I die for them. Arms splayed wide and welcoming, I embraced them all. Our Father's judgment be damned. I will atone for it all so they can be gay and proud and loud laugh until they can no longer breathe. And I said, I will be Euphoria until you can find your own. I am not God. I will protect you like you are my own children, and I promise I mean it. Did you ever hear the story of how I became Jordyn? Our Father thought me a traitor to a gender I have never been. What to a color is gender, or this is how you make space out of a rainbow. I threw 7 darts at a color wheel and I called the combination a gender. Named the gender Jordyn. Called Jordyn an experience, but everybody just called me blue. Said I was born blue and that's all I ever will be. But I said, no, weren't you listening? My name is Jordyn. And then some man, all shotgun in hand, said I must either be pink or blue, but I am neither, not even something in between, because that lavender middle ground never quite satisfied me. And besides, everyone always said I was a little bit more periwinkle, a little bit more wisteria, a little bit more pale purple, a little bit more like everyone except myself. So I left and found a space for all of me somewhere over the rainbow and amongst the stars. So now, when a woman asks about my gender, all white guilt and blue wave liberal, I point up at a nebula in the sky and say, my gender is the birth of that galaxy. My color is the experience of watching the universe continue to blossom. And isn't it beautiful and sad that you will never understand all of the colors who found space and sanctity amongst the stars when the rainbow left bits and pieces of us behind. So now when people ask about my color, I say, how kind is the universe that we who blossom like galaxies across the night sky will never understand color or gender the way that you do. What a blessing that is. Thank you, everybody.
Fabular, adjective, to tell a story exaggerating in the form of a fable. The way I saw it, she walked right in. No, she didn't walk. She kind of sauntered, maybe a swagger, rolling her hips that way, or maybe she strolled like she could care less, but you could tell she cared a lot anyway. She walked, sauntered, strolled in like she owned that place, or at the very least, her space in that place. And I swear, I ain't never seen nobody enter a room the way she did, not a care in the world, her hips rolling. Then she stood perfectly still. Okay, she maybe moved a little, but she was perfectly still in that way. You knew something was going to happen, and it might be scary, but you wanted to see. Anyway, she stood perfectly still, kinda, and looked at everybody like they owed her money and they best be ready to pay up. Then she made eye contact with this woman. She was a beautiful woman, the way she blushed when their eyes locked. She only blushed in her eyes when that woman looked at her the way she did. Then she did that walk again, all saunter, swagger, stroll, and rolling hips. She walked right up to that beautiful woman and smiled, showing no teeth, but we saw them all. It was like they knew each other, but not really. I mean, you could tell. I mean, there was chemistry. It was everywhere. It kind of bounced around the room, and they didn't notice, and we didn't mind. I mean, they got on everybody and the walls. Then that woman plunged her hand into her chest, just stuck it right in there, her hand in her chest. She reached inside her chest, and it was magical. Her hand disappeared inside and she just pulled it right out. She just pulled her heart right out of her chest and handed it, her heart, to this beautiful woman like that was normal. Like people just walk, saunter, stroll, rolling hips, not a care in the world, perfectly still but moving, all smile, no teeth, eye contact, chemistry bouncing around the room, plunging their hands in their chest, pulling out their hearts and handing it to a beautiful woman like people do that every day. Like magic, like normal. Then she said 3 words. She just said 3 words. She looked at that beautiful woman smiling, showing no teeth, and said, "This is yours." She said it just like that. "This is yours." Only 3 words in her heart. She just handed it, her heart, and 3 words to a beautiful woman, and the beautiful woman smiled, blushing in her eyes. She smiled and simply said, "Thank you." She said it just like that. Holding that heart in her hands, she tucked it inside of her own, and I tell you, I ain't never seen no shit like that before.
Yes! Come on, Theresa!
Wow. Can we all just take a deep breath together? I feel like we just received a lot. Yeah. Let's just take a deep breath. Can we all give some love to all 4 of our poets who shared bravely today?